Hi, good evening all, and welcome to IAS Factors Current Affairs Class 2. So, we are ready with the next important live, and today for the next 1 hour, we'll go live. We'll discuss a lot of important topics for the 2025 UPSC examination, both for prelims and mains. And as you know, this is how the session goes, and let's take a close introduction. My name is Arjun R Shankar. I'm the director of IAS Factor. So, how we are going to go forward for this session is we'll have a topic, and after each and every topic that we discuss, we'll have a question for the mains. So I'll discuss the most important topics from different areas, and after the topic is discussed, I'll give you a random topic in which a mains question will be asked. So this is how we are going to go, and if you're all ready, let's go to the first important topic of the week and let's find it out. What is OMSS? Because this is something that we normally read in the newspapers whenever there is a news on the Food Corporation of India, whenever there is a news about the FCI, we hear about the news called what is OMSS. So this is Open Market Sales Scheme. So it is actually talking about the concept of e-auction. What is this e-auction and what is this concept of OMSS? I'll explain it very clearly. So you must have heard about the Food Corporation of India, the FCI, which is something you must have already heard about. And when you see this grains here, you know that there is a Food Corporation of India which stores food grains. And FCI is a very important organization that is storing food grains. And this is something that they use when the states or other parts of the country needs food, they use it. So imagine that there is something called FCI here. So what happens is FCI is actually storing, this is a storehouse. FCI is actually storing a lot of food grains like uh, rice, wheat, and most importantly, rice and wheat. FCI is storing this. So what happens is at this point of time, there are various states who needs who are in that need of food grains. What happens is FCI from this is the go down. You can see this is the warehouse of the go down. You can mark it as a go down. So what happens is FCI releases this food grains to the states or other people who needs the food grains. So what happens is through the warehouse, FCI releases this, and this point of release is through what is called as e-auction. You know what do you mean by an auction? So this is what is called as open market sales scheme. So please understand this warehouse that we're discussing is very important. Whatever there is inside this is actually distributed, this is given away to the states, and ultimately the question comes here. Is only the states eligible to receive food grains? Can through the e-auction program, through e-auction, and this is an article which clearly said, this is the reason why this article came in the newspaper is because states can buy rice food corporation without participating in e-auction, because this is a new news. You don't have to participate in e-auction. So my answer is no. This is not only the states who can get the food grains from the warehouse. So in short, this is the idea of Food Corporation of India's OMSS. Let me take you through the other important aspects, and let's go into the other important aspects and take a look at this. Here is the question that I asked you, and this is the answer that I'm giving you. FCI is actually giving in a lot of grains like this, but what happens is only the state government eligible to get through OMSS? No, please understand. The state governments can get it, the union territories can get it, and even bulk consumers, large, flour mill owners, millers, people who are trading in bulk quantities, rice, wheat, big merchants, bulk consumers can also get it, and also PSUs, government public sector undertakings, can also procure it from the warehouse. FCI, they can also get it, and private traders. If you are a private trader dealing in all these things, you are also eligible to get it from the FCI. Very important. And see, all these are different type of questions that they might ask you in the they can actually ask these questions in the prelims also. OMSS can be applied to which are people, and even NGOs. This is also, even institutions can be a part of this. You can see NGO, charitable societies, cooperatives can also purchase grain under OMSS. So very important. And most important, the exporters. In certain conditions, FCI also allow exporters to purchase food grains. So even the exporters gets it. So who all gets it? State gets it, union territory, bulk consumers, PSUs, private traders, large exporters, even institutions can all be part of OMSS is something that you have to understand here. So this is one thing that we have to discuss. Open market scale scheme is applicable. FCI is giving away. And is this question, is it giving away all this thing? It is not only for state, it is for union territories, consumers, and all the people. They are getting the access to OMSS. Very, very important point. You should be taking it. And let's take other important random points from this, and let's move ahead. So, in short, OMSS is a government program. We already got this, where Foods Corporation sells surplus food grains. Okay, you got this point. Where it is wheat and rice from the center pool. So ultimately, is it wheat and rice every time? So you will actually I have an idea because it is not wheat and sometimes they can also sell maize. According to the availability, you can even sell maize. You can even FCI can even sell you millets. So most primarily it is wheat and rice in the OMSS. So this is done through e-auction and direct sales to state consumers and government also. So this is some always understand. So this is in short what is called OMSS, and let's take other important points that we should be having. So what is the most important functions of OMSS is what we have said is number one, regulate and control the price of food grains in the open market. So the price of the food grains control is also done by OMS is also actually having an impact on that. The price of the food grains is controlled. So FCI often procure more food grains than required for the public distribution of buffer stocks, and this is something that you know. And to dispose of the surplus stocks from getting spoiled. You know, so many years back, you must have seen that. I don't know whether you know or not. FCI had tons and tons of food grains which went wasted because it rotted, because it got spoiled. What happened is it got spoiled. So there was a big criticism at that time that why didn't they release it to the common people or people who were in need? So that is one thing. And OMS is implemented by FCI. You know that. So this is the some of the important points that I wanted to give you. And now let's quickly move on to the other important points and check out what are the. Okay, so the scheme focuses on the sale of wheat and rice. I already told you. The sale of the food grains under OMSS is done through e-auctions. You already know that. Even without e-auction, it is happening. Government can also offer direct sales to bulk consumers, which is actually happening. States can do that. And who is fixing the price? Please take this point very clearly. Such points can be used in the prelims examination. The prices of the food grain sold under OMSS is fixed by Ministry of Consumer Affairs and Food and Public Distribution. Such things can be very, very important for the prelims option. So it is fixed by the Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution Ministry, the prices of OMSS. So please remember, and is OMSS a great idea because it is also having a lot of challenges which we should discuss. The number one challenge is transporting and storing. You know, you have huge warehouses in India, but the problem is when you have tons and tons of materials to store, the logistic, the transportation, the storing of food grains is a very challenging stuff. And it is also said these are some of the important challenges existing with the OMSS. And people say that e-auction needs to be more transparent. So definitely e-auction, which is actually happening, needs to be more transparent. And one thing, OMSS can distort the market. What do you mean by distort? It distort it can you call it in economics as it's changing the equilibrium. It can distort the market. OMSS can distort the market. How? Let's find out. And that is how we should. This is a very important point because this is some of the negatives of OMSS. Logistic challenges. E-auction needs to be better. OMSS can distort the market. You know how? I'll tell you. Take an example. Let's take a small story. You'll be able to understand in a much more simple manner. I'll explain it clearly. Imagine that you are an apple seller. You are at this point. You are an apple seller, and you have a shop, and you are selling apples to the customers. And where are you taking the apples? Where are you buying the apples from? You are buying the apples from a apple seller. You are actually apple farmer, you are actually getting it from an apple seller or a farmer who is producing the apple. You take the apple from this person and you sell it, and you sell it here. This is what you're doing. So what happens is the government, when the OMSS comes, well, the important factor is when the OMSS is coming, what happens is government starts selling apples at a very low price. Imagine that the farmer is selling the apple, say, just imagine a farmer is selling the apple at 10 rupees. What will happen is I'm buying from the farmer from 10 rupees. What will happen is the government will start selling the apples at say 5 rupees or 6 rupees. So obviously I'll start buying from the government. I'll start buying from the government. So you might not buy from the farmer anymore because you can get the cheaper things from the government. Very good. So what happens is farmer here, the farmer is suffering. The farmer here will suffer because he's not getting orders. So what happens is the farmers will have a trouble in selling their apples, or farmer will lower their prices. You know what? They were selling at 10 rupees, government is selling at 6 rupees. You know what? Farmers will have to sell the apples at 4 rupees, which will create loss. And you know what happens after some time? OMSS is again storing, it's actually a storage thing. The government runs out of stock. What happens is government will run out of one. It has happened. It has happened many times. The government will run out of stock. You depend on the government and the government does not have any apples. What will happen is you do not get apples here. Then the problem happens is the seller. Number one, this is how OMSs can distort market. It can make things difficult for farmers and traders and even lead to problems in the food supply chain. The seller is actually having problem. The farmer is actually having problem only because you had a small dependency on the government. This is how people say OMSs can distort the market. So get this equation correctly. I know, just wanted to give you a small story on that. I think this point is very clear. So this is in short OMSs, and let's take an open mains question. And as I told you in the last session, rather than simply writing this question, when you get this question, make sure you write this and try to find the answer. The open market scale scheme is a delicate balancing act between ensuring food security and maintain market efficiency. Two things. It's a balancing thing. Discuss the challenges in striking these balances and suggest policy measures to optimize utilization of OMSs for both consumers and farmers. It's a classic UPSC type of questions. It has a lot of points to be answered. Imagine you get to answer it, say 250 words or 200 words. Make sure you're able to answer this question. So this is in short regarding the OMS scheme, and I'm sure you have a good understanding. Next time when you get questions for prelims and mains, have a clear-cut idea. So know what is OMSs, know who are the beneficiaries, and what is it that they're selling, who is authorizing what, why, what is the function of this, and who is fixing the price, what are some of the challenges, and how does OMSs distort the market. Have a great idea. Okay, so quickly moving on to the next important topic is what is HDPE? That is something that I wanted to discuss here. High density polyethylene. You know why I'm discussing this important topic is because you must have seen the gas cylinder. Everybody clearly knows a gas cylinder. This is the steel. The cylinder that we are normally using is the steel gas cylinder. But now we see what is happening here is there is a large change that is going to happen in the LPG distribution in this country because steel gas, this is a steel cylinder. The steel cylinder is slowly transferring into fiber-based cylinder. Very, very important thing. It is slowly transferring into a fiber-based gas cylinder. Did you like? Maybe you can comment in the chat box also whether you are liking this. Did you like this new design of the LPG which is coming in? So according to this new gas cylinder, the material that they use to create this is HDPE. So when I found that this is a new gas coming in, definitely HDPE, the high density polyethylene is discussed. So we should definitely know about the features of what is HDPE or what is polyethylene or high density polyethylene. We should have an idea about what is this and what are the uses of all this is very important. See, imagine that there are 32.6 crore active domestic LPG users, and to ensure a steady growth of, and already the oil marketing companies have 550 crore cylinders. So what happens is You need fresh, more cylinders. So the best thing is to move to the fiber-based gas cylinders, and that fiber is supported by HDPE, high density polyethylene. So when you study for UPSC perspective, rather than telling that the gas is changed, you should know the features of HDPE. What is HDPE doing? What are some of the unique factors of HDPE? Why is it that the government has shifted from steel to HDPE? Why have they shifted it? We have to find the answers, and let's quickly find it out. Okay, so let's move in, and here we go to the next important content. Maybe take a look at this. This is the small mini, because I think there is something called the Chotu cylinder. So this is the kind of the new Chotu cylinder in fiber based. Even the article says explosion proof safe LPG cylinders. Different cylinders are actually making development. So this is actually, they said, explosion proof. They do not explode. So maybe let's take a look at that, and let's understand some of the important concepts also. When I said HDPE, it's high density. LDPE means it is low density, and definitely you need to know. We'll discuss about PET. So these are basically different type of materials which normally bottles and other beverage cans etc. comes in. So when you say HDPE, LDPE, PET, they are all different variants and they have different properties. But all of them can be used to create bottles and all this kinds of stuff like maybe juice cans, etc. But there are some differences in each everything. Now, since we are discussing about HDPE, let's discuss some of the important features. Number one, it is very strong. Obviously, why that is why gas is being created, and rigid. It is capable of withstanding significant stress and impact. See, all these points can be very important for the prelims exam. They'll ask you exactly like this: which are the following are the features of this? And maybe you can also, it is resistant to a wide range of chemicals. It has got good resistance capacity for acids, bases, and different type of solvents. Again, this is a good thing. And it is impermeable to water. Very important point, the water connection. Impermeable to water means suitable for outdoor and underground applications. So that is why it is water does not permeate inside. That is why it is very useful for outdoor and underground application. And remember the most important point, it has got high melting point, very high melting point. So that is why high temperature without deforming, it has got high melting point. That's why it can withstand it. It is easily recyclable, which contributes to environmental sustainability. Very important. Also an environmental angle to it. So these are some of the most important features in this. So have a great idea. Number one, strong and rigid. It is resistant to acids, bases, and it is impermeable to water. It has high melting point. It can be easily recyclable. I think you can easily remember the 5 features which are making it important. So almost LDP is very different from this. See, LDP constitutes most number of the package bags that you use. The sandwich papers, the sandwich bags are all part of this. And when you talk about PET, juice bottles like polyethylene terephthalate is what you mean by PET. I'm not going into the much, different aspects of HDPE, LDPE, or PET, but it's important that you understand what is high density polythene, LDPE. So just to give you an idea, it's already LDPE, and the PET is the most important juice bottles, juice cans we drink. So this is all about that, and let's see some of the important applications of HDPE also. Maybe you can have a very good idea on that front. HDPE is extensively used for making bottles. It's used for bottles, containers, jugs, and other packaging like food, beverage, industrial chemicals, etc., which I showed you the picture. And it's also important for making pipe. Creating pipes, sewage systems. So that means plumbing, drainage activity. HDPE is a fantastic material, and is also used in fuel tanks, bumpers, and even automobile industry due to the chemical and resistance. And one negative which you can talk about is it's susceptible to degradation under. It is very susceptible to degradation under prolonged exposure to sunlight. If you put it in sunlight, it is actually a negative of the HDD. While it has a high melting point, it can become brittle at very low temperature. This is again a negative. It can become very brittle, and it is not permeable to water, but HDP is permeable to some of the gases, which can limit its use in packaging applications. So these are some of the negatives. These are some of the important areas where they use. Some of the negatives is very UV. It is very exposed to degradation from sunlight. It can be very brittle. and not permeable to water but permeable to gases. So this is about the HDPE, some of the features and some of the negatives that I wanted to tell you regarding the negative aspects. Okay, so mark it the negatives, and now let's see why are we moving on with the gas cylinder. Why is everybody moving on to the fiber based gas cylinder? It's because, please understand, they are resistant to corrosion, enhancing their durability and longevity. You know that the previous gas cylinder, have you ever seen a very clean, sparkling gas cylinder when the gas man comes to your home? No, you often see that it is corroded. But they say that this is not the resistant to corrosion. And the translucent body allows users to easily check the LPG level. A good news for all the women and men working out in the kitchen, because it's ultimately people, both men and women have a problem sometimes to check, have an issue regarding finding out whether the gas is full or not. But this is a good news for both the people, or all the people working in the kitchen, is because you can check out that the translucent body gives you LPG level. The LPG level, so guesswork is not needed. You don't need the guesswork anymore. So these are some, very safer than steel cylinder due to the improved burst resistance. That is very important. And but the biggest negative is this kind of cylinders are very expensive than the traditional steel cylinders. So widespread adoption to this can be difficult because pricing is going to be a big challenge here. And you need to educate consumers about the benefits of this new age cylinder. We have to teach them. It's going to be a challenge also. So these are some of the important points regarding the new fiber-based cylinder. So let's take a quick question. Let's go on to a quick recap of what we have learned. So we discussed about why HDPE, what is high density polyethylene, and we discussed about the different features and the 5 important features of HDPE. Also knowing about LDPE and PET. PET stands for this polyethylene tetraphthalate, and what are the materials used, and what are some of the negatives, and what are some of the benefits of HDPE as compared. And when you compare it with the cylinder, from the cylinder level, what are some of the important things that you can see here, and why people need awareness. And then let's take a main question here. Think, rather than simply watching the class, think whether you're able to answer that clearly. Evaluate the potential of fiber-based composite LPG cylinders to revolutionize the LPG system in India. Discuss the challenges that need to be addressed to ensure their widespread adoption. You see. So first of all, in this means question, all you have to do is you have to make sure you have to evaluate the potential of what fiber-based composite LPG cylinder revolutionize. See, how is it? So basically, in the first session, you have to evaluate potential. Number one. Second is you have to discuss the challenges that need to be addressed to ensure the widespread, to make it a safe and widespread adoption. What are the challenges? Already I've discussed few points. You can easily take this and try to answer these questions. Okay. So moving quickly to the next important topic. Here we go to the next important topic, and here we go. Now let's take some important questions from international relations, oil, international diplomacy. So a lot of things. I'm going to discuss a lot of important topics here. So please be ready. So when I talk about oil, this is just a small statistics that in last 2 months, India surpassed China to become Russia's top oil buyer. So, the statistics can change every now and then. Maybe next month, China will again overtake India and become the biggest Russia's top oil. What are the important things that we have to learn here? Number one, Russia, as you know, is one of the biggest oil producing or oil suppliers of the world. And post the Russia-Ukraine war, you know that Russia is targeted by Western countries, especially United States of America, the UK, and the most important, the European Union. They have imposed something called as sanctions. You know that. What do you mean by sanctions? Very, very important. These are all. I'm just trying to make you an understanding. So Russia already has a lot of sanctions. That means when Russia is having sanctions, Russia is on sanctions by different countries like European Union, UK, US, and other countries that put a sanction. Means it's like a kind, you call it in economics as different type of trade embargo sanction. That means you do not buy from Russia. You isolate Russia. That is another theory which we'll discuss about sanction, different type of sanctions, embargo. Basically, in simplest term, understand, we will not trade with Russia. No trade with Russia. So no trade means no export, no import, nothing with Russia. So this was against the Russia-Ukraine war. So Russia is already having a problem. And this scenario has created that Russia, since nobody is buying from Russia, just imagine from the situation. I'm giving you this idea, and then we'll discuss the important topics like once I tell you this whole concept and then idea is what is OPEC. I'm discussing about OPEC. What is ESPO blend? You see this thing in the newspaper every time. What is ESPO blend and REPCO oil? All these are different type of Russian oils. ESPO blend, REPCO. What is OPEC plus? I'll discuss 3-4 concepts like this to basically understand simple thing. Okay, and I'll also in this context I'll also tell you about what is the oil production, which are the oil producing countries of the world or oil producing countries of the world, and also what is OPEC, and on top of that, India and oil. I'll give you a lot of prelims questions that can come from this area, especially the MCQ question and also written question like India and oil production. What is India's capacity? So this is a very vast topic. I'm trying to cover most number of topics from here. So just imagine Russia in the Ukraine war, everybody has put sanctions. You know that every major country or Russia is actually on sanctions. Just imagine. So what happened is, please understand, previously there were, say, imagine there were 100 buyers who were buying from Russia. But now, after sanctions, what happened is now there are only 7 buyers who are buying from Russia. So what happens is Russia is having a lot of oil like this. It's lying vacant. Nobody is buying. 100 buyers is now reduced to 7 buyers. Nobody is buying the oil. So what happens is Russia will reduce the price of the oil. Obviously, they'll reduce the price of the oil. So that has been a very important thing for India because India needs a lot of oil. This is why India is not self-sufficient in oil production. Is India producing oil? Yes, India is also producing oil in India, but it is not, sufficient enough to meet our demand. That is why India is importing oil. So Russian oil prices come down. That is why India is seeing this as an opportunity. Very important. This is the whole idea. The international, equation regarding this. So India is getting it. Also, China is also getting this. So this I wanted you to have a close idea about all this concept. Now we'll understand one by one what are the important concepts. Let's take one by one. So please take a look at India surpassed China to become the world's largest importer of Russian oil. I said this can change in another month. China can again come back. So it's not a big deal. Understand the basic politics involved in that. And Western sanctions on Russia following the invasion of Ukraine led to discounted oil prices. This is what I told you. The Russian oil prices have come down. That is why countries like India and China take seeing it as an opportunity. It is making it attractive for Indian refiners. So it has led to the change in flow of certain types of Russian crude like ESPO blend from traditional China. So that means we need to understand what is the concept of ESPO blend. Let's take a look at that. Next time when you see the newspaper, you should have a clear-cut idea about what is ESPO blend and REPCO. So this is ESPO blend. Take a look at that. What is basically ESPO blend? Is because, see, this is an expansion or an acronym. ESPO means Eastern Siberia Pacific Ocean. This is blend. It's a pipeline from Russia to Asia Pacific region. So this is a crude oil that is transported. So this is basically ESPO blend is a crude oil. Number one, this is a crude oil, which is actually transported from Eastern Siberia Pacific Ocean, which is meaning ESPO. ESPO is a region from Asia Pacific. So this blend is the light. So please remember some of the features. This is very light and sweet crude oil, meaning it has low sulfur content. That is the most important point that you note. ESPO blend is low sulfur content. See, these are all questions they can ask in UPSC prelims. Which of the following? ESPO blend is a crude oil which is high in sulfur content. Statement is wrong. See, we have to have a clarity on that. ESPO has low sulfur content. It is light and sweet, and it has gained popularity in Asian markets. It's actually very popular in the Asian markets, particularly in China and India, due to the favorable characteristics. So please get this point correct. So light and sweet and low sulfur content is ESPO blend. It's named after a region. So what is REPCO? What is REPCO oil or the Russian export blend crude oil? Let's take an understanding at this point. It is called Russian export blend crude oil, which stands for Russian export blend crude oil. Is a major type of it's from Russia. And it's basically sourced from Ural and Siberian region of Russia. So it's another type of crude oil. It's again a crude oil, but different thing. Please take, it is not sweet. It is sour crude oil. Very, very important. ESPO was sweet. This is sour. And the sulfur content is very, very high. Very, very important. Sulfur content is very, very high, and Repco is often used as a benchmark price for crude oil. So, there are different type of crude oil, but Repco is the benchmark. When everybody talks about crude oil from Russia, Repco is often treated as a benchmark oil, but it is small and the sulfur content is high. This is one reason why, which is posing a challenge to India. The high sulfur content of Repco is the challenge to India because you know why? India need to invest in upgrading the facility to process it. You know, when you get crude oil, you need more machineries to make it. The sulfur content of poses a challenge for Indian refineries as they need to invest in upgrading their facilities to process it efficiently. Because sulfur content is high, our facilities needs more upgradation. So when you have to upgrade your facility, what happens is you have to invest. That is why it's a challenge. The Repco oil is also a challenge for India. So know about this thing because it can be very useful for your prelims as well as mains examination. And now let's look at the buyers of Russian oil. India buys from it. Who are buying Russian oil? It's not a small list. There are big lists, but I'm telling you, India buys from Russia. China is also buying. Turkey is buying, and European Union countries were buying, but recently they have decreased due to the sanction. Sanction means no trade, no relation, anything. That is why, and other Asian countries, there are other Asian countries depending on Russian oil. So it is basically shifting between. So this is between some of the Russian oil exporters. I wanted to give you an idea about who are importing from Russia. And now let's take a close look at this for your prelims perspective. Let me give you some few facts. If you get a question, which of the following countries are major oil supplying countries? It is very important that you get this idea very clearly because Saudi. So have an idea like this. If you get some countries in the prelims, which of the following countries have got oil reserves, then maybe you'll be confused. Let's take the most important countries which has oil. Saudi Arabia, which is the world's larger oil support exporter. United States. US is actually making a rise. Very, very important here. United States, you must have heard about the shale gas. US is promoting the shale gas development is something that you must be aware. There is shale gas. Oil is there in Iraq. Even though Iraq has suffered, but Iraq is also oil reserves. Canada, UAE and Kuwait has got oil, and Iran. Definitely, Iran has also got sanctions. Like Russia, Iran has also got sanctions. Nigeria, Brazil, Kazakhstan, Guyana, and even Norway. So I'm not telling you that these are the only countries which there are oil production is happening. No. If you get some question for the prelims in civil services, and if you get some countries in the random order, make sure these are some of the countries which has got oil reserves. Very, very helpful. And let's take an analysis of India. Let's take a oil in India. What is the relation between oil and India? Maybe we'll have small analysis between oil and India. You will understand that India is an oil producing country, but it's not a major player on the global stage. India's domestic production fulfills only a small portion of its oil product. Very, very important. It can only meet a small oil demand, a small portion. The rest of the thing has to come from import. It has to be imported. But still, it is important to know India when it is oil. It is important for prelims perspective. I'm giving you all this content here. You should know some of the important things for India and oil production. We are discussing a lot of topics. Don't think that we are stuck in oil. We are discussing different topics, but not we'll discuss everything from oil. Where in India can you mainly find oil? Number one, Western offshore, particularly Mumbai Highfield. You must be knowing. In Mumbai Highfield, oil can be found. Accounts for the largest share of India's oil production. You can see largest share of India oil production come from this, and you can also check Assam and Gujarat. Obviously, Assam and Gujarat, especially the Cambay Basin. So please remember Mumbai High, Cambay Basin, and the Barmer region of Rajasthan. So Mumbai, Assam, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and eastern offshore, including the Krishna Godavari Basin, the eastern side, and even in Tamil Nadu. There are some places in Tamil Nadu, some places of Andhra Pradesh, and even Arunachal Pradesh in the northeast, Kharsang oil field. All this can be important. So remember this concept. Kharsang is actually being mentioned here. So take a look at this. So remember Maharashtra, Assam, Gujarat, Barmer region, Cambay Basin, Krishna Godavari Basin, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Kharsang. And also remember some of the oil refineries. Please have an idea because you should get this idea. You have a refinery in Kochi, Nagapattinam, Chennai, Tatipaka, Vishakhapatnam, Haldia, Nuwaligarh, Kolkata, Umiam, Guwahati, Digboi, Bongaigan, Barauni, Bina, Mathura, Panipat, Bhattinam, Manali, Vadinagar, Jamnagar, Koeli, Mumbai, Puram or Mangaluru. You can actually, know this. These are some of the important regions which is actually coming up with all these factors. So I wanted to give you an idea about this. And now I think we'll move on to the another important topic is OPEC. I think all this Russian oil and the different type of oil is clear. ESPO, why sanctions is there, REPCO, the major buyers, some of the major oil exporting countries of the world. And now in this context, it is very important that you know what is OPEC, because that is something that you should be knowing here. OPEC means, take a look at this. It's an intergovernmental organization. You can clearly understand what is the 13 oil producing nations. They are also oil and petroleum. So they are also oil producing nations. It was founded in Baghdad in 1960. So it's not something new. We can also ask this prelim question. OPEC is an intergovernmental organization found after 2000 in 2005. No, it is not 2005. It is 1960 in Baghdad in Iraq. So for the members, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. So take a close look at this. The headquarters of OPEC is located in Austria. All the other countries, Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Venezuela. So please remember how is this thing working out clearly. And take a close look at this. They are the OPEC countries. So definitely they are countries where definitely oil is there. The countries have come together to create the intergovernmental organization. And this side you have Russia, another group of country, another country which is actually very popular in oil. So there is one type. OPEC group means there are some countries which are all creating oil. So what happens is one time, this is the world. Imagine that this is the world. This is the world. The world needs oil. Where will the oil come from? The oil will either have to come from OPEC countries or it will have to come from Russia. So what happens is the world depends on oil from these countries. We need oil where we are dependent on oil from all these countries is the important thing. So what happens is when OPEC is actually doing this, what happens is OPEC starts behaving like a cartel. This is a small negative. What do you mean by cartel? Cartel means a mafia, like a thing where you control everything. This will control the price of oil. If they OPEC say, imagine that we are trading with OPEC. If OPEC say that for one barrel of oil or petrol, say imagine we'll charge 1,000 rupees, but where's the price is just 800 rupees. They say we'll charge 1,000 rupees means the world will have to take for that 1,000 rupees. This is cartelization. They decide everything. So please understand this concept. I just wanted to give you an idea on that. So now let's take a look at some of the important countries. So what are the countries? Because this can be also a question for the prelims examination because you'll get an elimination. Which of the following are part of countries? So imagine as of September 2024, we are discussing Algeria, Angola, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Venezuela. So there is no Russia inside OPEC as such. You can see, look at this organization of the petroleum exporting countries, the oil and petroleum exporting countries, the organization, the OPEC countries, the organization of petroleum exporting countries. You can see Algeria, Angola. So some of the countries are in Africa, some of the countries are in Africa, some of them are in Asia, and some of them are even in South America. So all of them, the primary goal of OPEC is to coordinate and unify the petroleum policies. So they want to create a good policy that will help all the countries. So this is the OPEC. So please know this is an organization. Have good clarity on this, and let's take another important point. So OPEC holds significant influence in the global market. You know it very clearly. And its member collectively control a substantial portion of the world's Oil reserves and account for a significant share of global oil production. Correct. All of them are oil exporting countries, organization of petroleum exporting countries. And as I said, they have started acting as a cartel because they started acting like a mafia. They decide everything. And recent years, as I said, OPEC is on one side. As I told you, what about the other oil countries, especially Russia leading it? Not all the countries. So that is why they have created. How about adding Russia and other oil producing countries which are not in OPEC? How about Russia and other oil producing countries? And some of the larger oil producing countries are already there in OPEC. What if there is some countries that are not part of OPEC? What will we do? Why not? Why don't we actually have a relationship between the other countries? So OPEC and other countries are joining together. That's what is called as OPEC plus. Very important. Previously it was called OPEC, and now it has become OPEC plus. So it's another 10 other major non-OPEC countries. So which are the 10 other non-OPEC countries? Is Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Malaysia, Mexico, Oman, Russia, South Sudan, and so please have a clear-cut idea about the 10 important countries. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So please know about Sudan, Russia, Malaysia. So these are the countries which form the OPEC plus. So these are the important countries which form the OPEC plus. And why OPEC plus is very important? This is also very important to be noted here. As I said previously, it was the OPEC, some of the most important oil producing countries, plus the other countries led by Russia. So, what means most of the oil producing countries are part of this. Now they have become a bigger organization. So, oil availability and control of oil has become more larger. Everybody has, like a Mahabharata war, everybody has started coming together. So, it's playing a crucial role in stabilizing oil market. When everybody comes, it's going to create a lot of stability. And the most important point here is tackling United States of America. You have not seen United States of America, USA, inside this picture. That is why you should, as I told you, US is making a great rise in shale oil production. I hope you know what you mean by shale gas and shale oil production. So if you do not know, please find out. US is leading in the shale oil, the shale gas production. In order to, when the OPEC and other country OPEC plus comes, this will be a challenge to United States. So this is also countering United States. So it is going to be a huge change. So this is something that I wanted to give you an analysis on that. So get this idea and clarity. So this is the major important thing of OPEC. So we have discussed a lot of things about OPEC. What is the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries? Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Some of the countries, and after that, 10 more other countries have joined. The negatives of OPEC and why OPEC Plus is actually on the rise. What can it do? Now let's take the important question. Critically analyze the role of OPEC Plus in the global oil market. Evaluate its effectiveness in achieving its objectives, challenges it face, and impact on the global economy. If you want to, you can definitely write this question. We already discussed this answer. Number one, you have to critically analyze the role of OPEC Plus. It's not OPEC, OPEC Plus in global. This is number one. You have to write this. And evaluate its effectiveness in achieving its objectives. So you have to write how effective it is, what are the challenges, and its impact. So write about the role, write about the effectiveness, write about the impact. You can easily do this question. So you find it out, definitely. See, this is how mains questions come. Current affairs, I strongly believe all the majority of the questions of GS paper 1, 2, 3, and even 4, majority of the questions, the basic root of asking questions is from current affairs. So be prepared. So this is important topic. So next, moving quickly to the next important topic in a very quick manner. What is credit linked subsidy scheme? I thought we'll discuss some important topic from a government scheme. So you must have heard about, I'm going to tell you a small story. From now onwards, every now and then you must be, whenever you read the newspaper, you will come across this word called credit linked subsidy scheme or the CLSS. So every time when you see CLSS, you should know what is the CLSS. So you must have heard about PMAY. Very important. If you do not know, please understand. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. It is aimed at making houses more affordable to various income groups. So India, whether everybody needs a house like this, everybody's dream. It's a basic need to have a shelter and a house. So depending, there are different categories in India on the basis of income, like economically weaker sections. And I'll give you an example. So house is everybody's dream. So how do you build a house? Definitely, you might need a loan. You might need a loan to build a house. So when you need a loan, definitely, how will you approach it? What is the interest rate? So you need to understand under the credit-linked subsidy scheme. So imagine the beneficiaries receive a subsidy on the home loan. So what is the subsidy? You'll understand. You get a subsidy on the home loan on the reducing the EMI every month. So to understand this, anyway you understood this concept. PMAY is all about housing. PMAY's ultimate agenda is to create more affordable housings, and the most important tool which it is using is CLSS, or Credit Linked Subsidy Scheme. Something from economics also. I want you to understand this concept. So rather than just understanding this whole concept, let's easily understand this. I'm going to tell you a story. Let's hear the story. The person that you're seeing is Mr. Rajeshwar Bhai. Let's hear the story of Rajeshwar Bhai. Rajeshwar Bhai is using the credit link subsidy scheme, and he wants to take a loan. And let's see how he is going to do. Definitely, he is going to take a loan. So, definitely, Rajeshwar Bhai wants to create a small house. So, what is going to do? He is going to take a loan. Rajeshwar Bhai is going to take a loan, and when he takes a loan, he will get the money. There will be a bank or a financial institution which will be giving this. There is a little bank or an institution which will give out this loan to Rajeshwar Bhai. So Rajeshwar Bhai wants to build the house, he has to take a loan. There will be a bank. So when he takes the loan, definitely Rajeshwar Bhai will have to pay the interest every month. There will be an interest. There will be an interest that Rajeshwar Bhai will have to pay the bank. Let's see this. How is this working? I'll give you through the example of Rajeshwar Bhai. You'll be able to understand this much more clearly. So here we go. It will have some calculation. Simply understand. I'm not complicating it. Simply understand. Imagine Rajeshwar Bhai. This is Rajeshwar Bhai. He is belonging to EWS category. Okay, you know what is economically weaker section, EWS category. And imagine he's having a household income of only 2.5 lakhs. And that means 2.5 lakhs in a year, not in a month. People are getting every 2.5 lakhs in a month. It's for a year. He's getting, Rajeshwar Bhai might be lying, but still, he's getting 2.5. Imagine that. And he wants to buy a new house. This is the new house he wants to buy. And he needs a loan of 6 lakhs. Very important. He needs a loan of 6 lakhs. And he can repay the loan after 20 years. He'll repay the loan after 20 years. Imagine, he'll repay the loan after 20 years. Okay. What is the bank? What is the bank or the interest which the bank or a financial institution is charging is for 20 years, he'll have to pay 7% interest. Every month, you'll have to pay 7% interest. Plus, you have to repay the capital principal amount also. 6 lakh, you have to repay every month, and interest also will become. So imagine that is the monthly EMI. I'm sure all of you must be having EMI. So your monthly EMI will be 4,832 per month. Imagine that. So for total 20 years at 7% interest rate, Rajeshwar Bhai will have to pay around 5.59 lakhs. Just imagine for 20 years, he will have to pay 5.59 lakhs as interest. So imagine, just calculate. 6 lakh he has already taken loan, he has repaid, and on top of that for 20 years, he's paying 5.59 as interest. So how much is that coming in? This will be coming into close to 11 lakh, 11.59 lakh after 20 years. By paying 4,830 every month, Rajeshwar Bhai will have to pay 11 lakh. He only took a loan of 6 lakhs, but he will have to pay 11.5 lakhs after 20 years. So this is the normal scenario that you go in a bank. But Rajeshwar Bhai has not used the credit link subsidy scheme. Imagine that now Rajeshwar Bhai is actually going to use the CLSS, the credit linked subsidy scheme. He is using the credit linked subsidy scheme. That means he will not have to pay this much amount of money. Please understand, he will not have to pay this much amount of money. In this concept, you will understand he will get a subsidy. Please understand, Rajeshwar Bhai is getting a subsidy of 6.5%. That means 7% was the interest rates. It doesn't mean that interest rate has decreased. Interest rate is still at 7%. See, just imagine 6.5% subsidy is actually given. Imagine that Rajeshwar Bhai has taken a loan of 6 lakhs. And this is 6 lakhs together, 0 to 6 lakh. When he received the subsidy, what happened is the major amount of money. Subsidy means this major amount of money, not the interest. 6 lakh is actually cut here. Maybe it will be only around say 3 or 2 lakh, 3.5 lakh something. The rest of the amount of money is upfrontly paid by the government. The government through the CLSS program has paid this money. And now you can see his monthly EMI has reduced to 3,372. And for 20 years, Rajeshwar Bhai only needs to pay 8 lakhs. That means the interest is 7% only. But the principal 6 lakh has decreased. Government has paid some money. So this is the scheme that you want to understand. I know why I've told you the story is because from now onwards, you might be able to, you will definitely see a lot of news articles regarding credit link subsidy scheme in the newspaper, PIB, everywhere you will see this, but you will not understand. See, this is not only for this, this is what government does with every project. When you get subsidy means lot of some a portion of the money is actually paid by the government, but interest rate is 7%. That is not reduced. Without CLSS, he'll have to pay 12, 11 point, and with CLSS, he's having a difference of almost 3 lakhs. You don't have to pay. The government has paid subsidy for you. So this is what a great idea, right? But there are some conditions involved in this. Please understand there are some conditions involved in this. CLS is implemented through various primary lending institutions like banks, housing finance companies. Point. The beneficiary must not own a Pakka house in their name or the name of any family member. Doesn't mean that you have a 5,000 square feet house, you cannot apply for this. You should not have a Pakka house. You should have a very small house. You can take this loan. And the subsidy is credited upfront to the beneficiary loan account. This is what I told you. It will be credited by the government upfront, and reducing the EMI will come down. And you can also take a look at this 20 years. The interest subsidy is for 20 years, which we discussed, but it is changing. Either for new construction, purchase of a new house, or extension or improvement of an existing house, you can take this thing called as CLSS. And it is actually given for different categories like EWS, like up to 3 lakh income, people which 3 lakh to 6 lakh, and 6 lakh to 12 lakh, and 12 lakh to 18 lakhs. You can all avail Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana for different category. So this is what is called as affordable housing. So from now onwards, I think you will be understanding what you mean by credit linked subsidy scheme, or how a subsidy scheme works is very clear now. A topic from economics which I wanted to tell you. So please read it, and if you can even rewind the video, watch it also. Okay. Now I'll take a quick question at this point. The credit linked subsidy scheme has been instrumental in promoting affordable housing in India. However, its implementation faces several challenges. Critically evaluate these challenges and suggest measures to enhance the effectiveness. So, how is CLSS instrumental in providing affordable housing in India? Very important. So, what are some of the challenges, and how can you make it more efficient? Is some other important thing that I asked you. Okay, so this is important thing that I told you. So I think the story of Rajeshwar Bhai is clear. And now let's quickly move on to the next important topic, and jump into the next important one from environment. What is NCM? A typical mains question, also a typical prelims question. They'll ask you which of the following statements are correct regarding NCM. So you have to basically know what do you mean by NCM. It's National Coastal Mission Scheme. You are seeing the picture, the coast of India. You in geography you must tell that India has this much amount of 7,000 plus kilometers of coastline. So you must be knowing about the coastline. Very important, know about the coastlines here. And now let's understand the National Coastal Mission is an important initiative. It's taken by the. So in this, what are the important things coming in? It is number one point. It's created to safeguard India's extensive coastline. India has a very extensive coastline. You have to be when you protect the coastline. on this. This is a very simple thing. Operated and started in 2014 is number second under the umbrella. Please remember, this is the larger thing they can be asked in the UPSC examination is NAPCC. What is NAPCC? I'm not much going much into it, but you should have an idea. What is National Action Plan on Climate Change? So this National Coastal Mission is actually part of NAPCC on climate change. So obviously this mission will have to do everything regarding saving the coastal line. So let's understand what are some of the important aspects of this coastal lines also. Very quickly we'll go on to that. So obviously it's obvious. Mangroves and coral reefs will be protected. Obviously, you know mangroves and coral reefs will be protected here. Marine and coastal ecosystem will be protected. Obviously, it's very simple guess. Beaches under beach environment and aesthetic management services. What is this service actually? This is something I want you to understand. Maybe remember this. If you can write all this in the main answer, it will be great. What is this? Beaches under beaches, beach environment and aesthetic management service is actually called by the name BEAMS. BEAMS. This is called by the. It's a program called BEAMS. But you know, when you write all these things in your answer, especially for the mains exam, this vocabulary you're getting good marks. So obviously, what is the mission? Protective mangroves, coral reefs 2, marine 3, coastal ecosystem 3, 4, beams, beaches, and obviously beach cleaning drive. You have to make a good cleaning drive, clean the beaches. So this is the National Coastal Mission: mangrove, coral reef, marine, coastal ecosystem, beams, beach environment aesthetic service, and beach cleaning drive. So 5 points. If you remember these 5 points, absolutely good. You will be able to write a good mains answer from the perspective. And let me also tell you other important things that will be a part of geography is also coming here. The National Coastal Mission is also concerned about maintenance of infrastructure like sea walls, breakwater, groins to mitigate erosion, flooding, and other coastal hazards. See, the picture that you are seeing on the screen is called groins. It's called a groins. America, it's American, metrology. It's called the groin. It's called the groins. See, it's what is groin? Take a look at this. Just like a small construction that you see is constructed in the beach. A small question from groins. This is groins, and withstand the coastal community. Withstand the coastal community against climate change, sea level rise, extreme weather events, ocean acidification, etc. Because coastal communities also need to be, preserved. People who are living on the coast, they should be prevented against climate change, sea level rise, extreme weather events, and also ocean acidification. And beams. Obviously, I told you, beach aesthetic. Please remember this beams. So, what is groins? Let's take a small look at. Maybe I'll give you a small idea about what you mean by groins to have a from an academic perspective. Take a look at the sea. Have you seen this construction which is actually there in the sea level? Take a look at this construction. So a groin is the rigid hydraulic structure built, very important, remember, it's built perpendicularly from an ocean shore of a river bank, interrupting water flow and limiting the movement of sediment. So it is actually something created perpendicular from an ocean shore. It is made out of wood, concrete, or stone. It can be anything, wood, concrete, or stone. And in ocean, dams create beaches, prevent beach erosion. It can create, prevent beach erosion. When you create this, it can prevent beach erosion. And you can even see it creates a sediments. You must have seen sediments accumulating in the beaches like this. In this region, you must have seen sediments accumulating like this. So a Guyon maintains wide area of its beach on its updrift side by trapping the sediment suspended in the ocean current. This process is called accretion of sand and gravel. So this process is called as accretion. You must have seen sediments actually on the beach shore, which is called as accretion. Just telling you all these concepts. You must have seen this in the beaches, etc. So this is one type of gryons can create, accretion or sedimentation. It is perpendicular. So know about this was something randomly about coastal mission I was telling about groin management in India. And some important points for the prelims examination. which they can ask you in the MCQ. Sorry, who is responsible for this? The Ministry of Environment, MOFCC, or Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, is the nodal agency responsible for implementation of NCM. National Coastal Mission. The MOFCC is the nodal mission. Who are members? Various stakeholders, including state government, coastal communities, research institution, NGOs, etc., are all part of this. The implementing agency of NCM is the state government of coastal and union territory administration. Very important. The implementing agency of the NCM is the state government. Very important. The nodal agency is the center, the Ministry of Environment. The implementing agency is the state, coastal state, the government of the coastal state or the union territory. The state is the implementing agency. And already, successfully, like a similar project of NCM, you can remember ICZMP. ICZMP is Integrated Coastal Zone Management Project, which is already making tremendous work in the coastline of Andhra Pradesh. It is already done. So this is one success project, ICZMP, which is Coastal Zone Management Project of Andhra Pradesh. It is already under. So this is all in terms of NCM, or National Coastal Mission. So before we go on to the questions, please know what is NCM, why it is created, who has created, what are the important features or the main cardinal points why you need this thing, and also what are some of the important activities of NCM, beams, withstanding climate events like what, construction, maintenance of gryons, etc. I told you what you mean by a gryon, and who is the nodal agency, who is the implementing agency, who are part of this agency, and an important project that is successful. So all this thing together has created this thing. And now, main question here. Climate change poses a significant threat to India's coastal regions. Critically analyze the role of National Coastal Mission in addressing these challenges and suggest measures to enhance its effectiveness. So this is another important thing. Climate change poses a very significant threat, and how is NCM addressing all these things? I think you can easily write this question. So now we have already hit the time, so and I'll go on to one more important topic that I wanted to going forward. So I think I'll complete one more topic and then I will split the session. And let's take an important topic as this is from environment and definitely from a bit of science and technology and biotechnology involved in this. What is the concept of waste to energy? If you see a concept of WTE, in science we have discussed something about WTE, LGTE, etc. What is this technology? What is something called waste to energy? Just imagine this is a waste basket. From waste, that means from garbage to energy. This is what is called creating energy from the garbage. So imagine that there is something called the garbage like this. There are various mechanisms in which you create electricity. This is how we have discussed this. What is the concept of WTE, or waste to energy, or garbage to energy? So imagine that this is all garbage. There is one way which is called A. There are different like B, C. There are different methods through which you can use the waste. You can use the waste and use it to create electricity. It's a great thing, right? One of the very interesting things. It's a good thing that you are knowing this. You can use. What are some of the advantages of using this? Is maybe we can discuss it very quickly. What are some of the important advantages? Is that you know that this is the waste. A lot of this waste has to be transported, and you know that there are different type of waste management like landfills where you dump this waste, etc. So what happens is a lot of this has to be transported to landfills, waste treatments, etc. So what happens is we are not able to completely do away with whatever waste we have. Most of waste management has become an issue because all the waste cannot be recycled. We are facing. Take a look at this. It's not easy. But when you have waste to energy, see, imagine that there is 1,000 units of waste or 1,000 million tons of waste generated. We can probably only recycle around say 600 or 650 million tons. So rest of the 350 million tons is a challenge. But look at this: when waste to energy comes, out of this 1,000 million tons of waste, maybe we can utilize 500 to 600 million tons of waste to generate electricity. The rest of things can be, used to recycle or thing. Just from this picture, you can see you can create light, you can run your car, you can run flight. Everything is from WT, waste to energy. Government is giving a very important topic, importance of this thing, and I don't know whether you know about this topic, but I've told you there are different ways of generating electricity. That we have different methods. Like we'll discuss the most important. One is incineration. You can see incineration. You can incinerate it. Number you can gasify. And next is anaerobic digestion. So, what is the most important thing? We have to just discuss this simple thing and finish off this thing. So, I think you got this idea why waste is managed and why is the need for managing this waste energy. Because if we can create the most out of waste to electricity, it's a great thing. Now, let's discuss the first. Just take the most important points. Incineration is a method here. What is important is what is the byproduct? What are we getting here? Just imagine. The most common thing is, incineration. It involves burning waste. You can see waste collection, prehydration, and the waste is actually burned. You can see here waste is collected. It is actually going through like this. The waste is burned, and it's burned at high temperatures. It's burned. Let's mark it as burned. High temperature generate heat, which then used to provide, just like creating electricity, it's creating high heat, and that heat is actually generating the turbine, and electricity is produced. Electricity is produced, and this method converts the waste into ash, flue gas, and heat. In some cases, heat generated by incineration can be used in electricity. But this is how it goes. It is so simple thing. Incineration means you're burning at high temperature, heat generating. Let's sum it up quickly and finish it off this topic. And this is how number point: burning high temperature, it will provide heat, and the heat is turning the turbine, and that create electricity. So what does it convert? It can convert the waste. It will convert it into ash, flue gas, and heat. So this is something people say it is very controversial. People say this is very controversial. You know why it is called controversial? Is because incineration can leave a lot of waste. It can create a lot of pollutants in the air. You can just take a look at the air. It can create a lot of pollutants in the air. A lot of pollutants can go in the air, which is a very negative thing about incineration of WTE or the waste to energy. But let's take another quickly. Let's take another important method is gasification. How gasification works, let's take quickly. This is another method of gasification. In this process, waste is heated. Again, waste is heated, you heat it in a low oxygen environment. The key word is low oxygen, but it is not no oxygen. No oxygen means it will become anaerobic. And it will become anaerobic. It is low oxygen. And what is created? The byproduct, previously it was ash created, now it is syngas. Very, very important. This process creates syngas, can be combusted to generate electricity or can be used as fuel for industrial product. So by gasification, you heat it in a low oxygen environment, you create syngas. That is the most. And gasification can produce more energy as compared to incineration. These are all prelims points. Incineration is better or gasification. In terms of energy per unit, more energy is created in gasification than uh, incineration, which is more pollutant. Incineration is more polluting, gasification is less polluting. It's not zero polluting, it's less polluting. In incineration, you use high gas. In gasification, low oxygen environment, and you produce syngas. That is the most important gasification thing that you have to understand here. And now let's move on to the last important method is anaerobic digestion. So obviously you heard anaerobic digestion. Obviously you mean absence of oxygen. Without whatever you can use, slurry or manure, crops and residue, wastewater, food waste, everything is loaded in anaerobic digester. Everything is loaded inside that, and it is actually without oxygen. Without oxygen, gasification is low oxygen. It is anaerobic is without oxygen. Create what? It can create methane. Very important. As gasification was creating syngas, here you can create methane, which can be used as a fuel or heat generation. And you can create biogas, which is a mixture of methane and carbon dioxide. And you can also create digestate. You can create digestate in the picture. You can create biomethane or biogas. It's a nutrient-rich material left after digestion, which can be used as fertilizer. Digested can be used as fertilizer. So, in short, these are some of the methods of WTE. So, next time when you listen to the word WTE, you know why WTE is important. What are some of the methods? It's incineration, gasification, and anaerobic digestion. You know what are the important temperatures, etc., etc. You know it very clearly. And now, why it is very important? As I've told you this, it reduces the amount of waste going to landfills. As I told you, 1,000 ton, lot of that you can actually create it to energy. So you can reduce the amount of waste going to the landfill, and it can even recover metals from waste, which is a good thing. Some of the waste and some of the negatives is it requires a lot of money to make this. It requires a lot of WT technology. In order to do this, you need a lot of capital investment. You have to fund a lot of money for that. And as I told you, incineration release a lot of harmful pollutants like dioxins. It is one big negative that you have to understand here is it's some of the biggest negatives is it releases a lot of dioxins, furans, heavy metals in the air if not control. So this is see definitely WT means waste to energy. It has got its own merits and its own demerits. But if the merits are more, if you can create this, definitely these are good way of creating electricity. Will be more climate friendly also. So these are some of the most important things about WTE. I think you know this point clearly. And now let's take a look at the question and let's finish off this topic in very quickly. Waste to energy technologies offer a promising solution to India's growing waste management challenge. However, their implementation faces various environmental and social hurdles. Critically analyze these challenges and suggest measures to promote sustainable WT practice in India. So, in order to break this question very quickly, you should know waste technologies offer a promising solution in India's growing waste management challenge. So, this is the introduction. Questions introduction. Their implementation faces various environmental and social hurdles. So that is it. They are facing environmental and social hurdles. Critically analyze the challenges and suggest measures to promote. So first of all, you have to identify what are the environmental challenges and what are the social challenges and what are the challenges, and then you have to suggest measures. So this is a question which you can understand, and maybe this is we have almost uh, maybe I'll just break up this point. I had a small geography thing to be discussed, and maybe hmm, I'm not able to see the chats this time. Maybe we'll limit this session to this point, and maybe we'll go on to the other. We'll have the other important current affairs session live in few days or 2 or 3 days. We'll have another session. I'll announce this in YouTube, and all the video. You can watch this video in the YouTube itself. Not in the video. You can go to the IAS Factor channel. You can go to the live section. There is already video. Video will be there. You can watch the video again. So I think we'll finish up with this many points, and there are more topics. I'll cover the next important live is coming in 2 or 3 days. Be in touch with IS Factor channel. We'll definitely come up with the live. I hope you must have got a lot of points to think, a lot of questions to write also. Okay, so I'm taking my leave and wishing you all success. Have a great night. Study well. In 2 or 3 days, we'll meet up for the live 3 for UPSC 2025. In the meanwhile, as you can just see, our restart batch is open for 2025. Our self-study batch is open. So let us know if what are the things. And okay, so thank you so much for this wonderful session, and hoping to see you all again. Thank you.